emotions affect you.
Absolutely. And that's a really great example because when, I've been divorced, I've had another long-term relationship breakdown. And the thing about long-term relationships, marriages, is that you've invested a lot of time and energy. And with marriage, you've kind of you've bought into this idea of what marriage is supposed to be. It's
Yes.
supposed to last forever and ever. That's for most of us, that's certainly how we've been brought up. And when things don't work out that way, we are all hurt. I was hurt. I grieved for my divorce for many, many years afterwards. Even if other people didn't know it, it was something that I had to deal with personally and silently. But something that was never up for discussion or anything else was the relationship I have with my ex-husband. We have a great friendship now.
Oh, it's fantastic to hear.
When I'm in the UK, that's where I go and stay in my old house. Uh,
Oh,
you know, um, I'm a great friend to my ex-husband, and for friends of mine that have had divorces, I've always tried to say to them that, you have a choice how your relationship with this person continues. Now,
yes.
my ex-husband and I never had any children, but for a lot of people I know, they do have children, and the scenarios that people get into with children is that they're pulled from, one end to the other. People are suffering at the beginning, and you need to give some time and some space, but then you need to get over it and,
Yeah.
have harmonious relationships, because at one point you love that person. And that, for me, love just doesn't go away. It's
So it's a
unconditional.
good one. Your ex-husband must be. I'm assuming he's got quite a high level of emotional intelligence, because sometimes you hear of people and there's one party who's is completely taking charge of their emotions and their responsibilities, and then the other half just refuses to, point blank, whether that's anger or jealousy, or they're still hurting, and so they cannot extricate themselves from that sort of negativity that they're living in. Did your husband or ex-husband, sorry, go through any therapy himself, or is he just an emotionally intelligent individual?
Um, I was going to make a wise joke about men and relationships, but I'll save it. But um, I think that, for him, I know that he wrote to me every day or something during our separation. And for him, I guess that was some kind of therapy. And I think you do need time. I think you need time to get over, like I said, people feel hurt, people feel betrayed. There's many, many emotions that come in. But one of the people within that relationship has got to try and keep, in a way, what's important, and other family members also play a part in that.
Yes.
How if there's a divorce, it isn't about taking sides. It's just about allowing people to do what they need to do
Yeah.
in a safe space.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so right, but it's so hard, I think, for a lot of people to manage, because everybody automatically jumps on one side of the fence, whether they're pro or against the person asking for the divorce, or whether it's a mutual agreement. It's such a shame when sides do get taken, because it just actually makes the whole divorce process even more arduous to navigate, and it's difficult enough as it is without having other people stirring the pot as well.
Absolutely. I think that also it's possible that, I personally believe in, like, past lives and that kind of thing. And it's possible maybe we've already played something out in a previous life, and so this life we had different karma together. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's funny how that works, though, isn't it? When you look into all of that, I must admit I have a very similar belief system to yourself, and it's just like wacky. It's just like, oh my gosh, that person might have been my child once.
but I think as a human being, I am very passionate about trying to be part of this solution and harmony. I mean,
Yes.
absolutely, I don't get on with everyone, but I do try and be like a peacemaker, and
Yes.
with at the same time trying to allow people to be individuals. Because if people can be who they are, then and listening,
Yeah.
if we don't listen, then we never know what someone else is actually trying to say. So
Absolutely. And I suppose your yoga background must help with to support your vortex energy practitioner work with the breathing. And does that include meditation, the Sivananda yoga?
yes, the Shivananda
Oh,
yoga.
Shivananda, sorry.
Shivananda yoga is a hatha form of yoga, and it works with the breath, and
Yes.
it's much more. It's not high energy. It's not about the strength. It's more about the breath. It's about balancing the body. The meditation is important. It's that kind of yoga. And I got into that. I had practiced Bikram yoga. I have a lot of time for all formats of yoga because it's all yoga. But Shivananda yoga is the training I have. And when I started yoga breathing, I had bronchitis as a child. And then in my 20s, I was given an inhaler. I didn't really have asthma, but I had this inhaler in my handbag as a safety thing. And then I started yoga breathing, and my allergies to cat hair and duck feather pillows, and I mean, going to hotels and things, we had to call ahead because I couldn't sleep on pillows that had duck feathers in them. And the better quality hotels tend to have a lot of pillows that have got feathers and, goose down and this and
Yes.
that. And I would be, awkward Annie having to have everything moved. And when I started the pranayama, the yoga breathing, somehow all of that disappeared.
Wow. Oh gosh, that's fascinating, isn't it? Do you think it's because it opened up the sort of the lower extremity of your lungs or the deeper extremity of your lungs that a lot of us don't tend to use?
Absolutely. I think it definitely opened up everything. It allowed me to
Gosh.
breathe. It allowed me to breathe much more deeply. And I think on a physical level as well, I must have had things going on in my lungs and again, we're back to the story. Now that I know better, obviously that story was no more required by me to be sniffing and,
Yes.
not being able to breathe and etc. So that story ended.
Gosh, that's fascinating. So anybody out there with an allergy, you should perhaps take up Shivananda yoga and
Well,
improve your breathing.
Well, it doesn't have to be Shivananda yoga. It's any kind of, the Kundalini yoga, any
Yes.
kind of yoga that practices the breathing, the yoga breathing. There's lots of, yoga schools that are big into the yoga breathing as well. I'm very much about, not limiting it to one thing. My training is Shivananda, but lots of schools do, the breathing.
Well, that sounds like something that I suppose people with allergies really ought to look into because, I mean, taking up yoga is a whole lot better than staying on inhalers and suffering allergies for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And being the odd one out, because when you have allergies, you're kind of always having to be different.
Yes. Yeah.
And not necessarily in a positive way.
No.
But, so yeah, I would highly recommend pranayama, yoga breathing.
Say that again.
Pranayama
Pranayama.
is the term for yoga breathing.
You can probably tell I'm not a yogi. I practice Thai yoga massage, but yoga is one of those things that I've not done an awful lot of. I love my Reiki for the spiritual side, and I love meditating when I make the time, and I really should do it more often. But yoga is one of those things that I would love to have the time to actually explore more, because I've never spoken to anybody who has not had something extremely positive to say about it. And just that, the relaxation and the meditative side of yoga, I just think, I think people think, oh, it's all about learning how to stretch, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of it is learning that deep meditative breathing.
Yes, it's about taking the time. For me, yoga has been about taking the time to become aware of your body, because we're not really aware of our body, the left side and the right side. Why is one side more flexible than the other? It's about taking the time to know your own body. And then you develop the breath work, and that allows for some stillness, some quietness in the mind, and on a physical level as well, because all the physical asanas, the postures of yoga, are to enable you to sit still for meditation. So it just allows you to become still for a moment.
God, I'm feeling relaxed just talking to you about it. Sheila, we're going to stop for just a few moments to play your music that you've chosen, which is just, it's hypnotically beautiful. I've never heard it before, and when I downloaded it for you, I was blown away with it, and all I have read online about it is just such beautiful comments. So we'll take a break for a few minutes now to listen to, it's called The Angels Are Listening, and it's sung by Snatam Kaur at the Soothnorm Fest. And we'll play it for a few minutes now and just relax.
Great.
The angels are listening.